Now, I want to turn to where the ranking member went at the beginning of this hearing and talk about the real crime wave here in DC. I think it's very demonstrable, and the data shows that the largest crime wave that we've had over the last 9 months began on January 20th. And the epicenter of that crime wave, one might call it a white collar, or in this case, an orange collar crime wave, is the White House. Because we have seen a slew of illegal firings that have resulted in millions of Americans being without vital programs, the withholding of millions of dollars of funds, violations of the Constitution, rule of law, separation of powers, due process rights, illegal arrests, illegal deportations, hundreds of lawsuits, grift that's resulted in billions of dollars in crypto schemes lining the pockets of the president and his family, government contracts to his friends, and an epic cover-up of the largest known sex trafficking scandal in American history, with the director of the FBI lying under oath in this chamber just yesterday. And I just want to say this, that it is a felony under the U.S. Code to lie under oath in front of Congress. So if you want to talk about crime in D.C., then look no further than your own damn hearings.
Put a candle in the window, but I feel I've got to move. Oh, I'm gone, I'll be coming home soon. Long as I can see the light, pack my bag and let's get moving. 'Cause I'm bound to drift a while. Oh, I'm gone, you don't have to worry no. Long as I see the light.
Sweet, sweet. Welcome everybody to RadPod and Not So Chill. My name is Heidi Kuda, and I'm here with Jim Stewartson and High Fidelity, and it's been a minute. Good to see you guys. I hope that you had an excellent summer vacation, LOL. But yeah, nice choice, High Fidelity. Your intro reminded me of something that I got to share with Christopher Steele in person at the Byline Festival about how at the end of his life, Napoleon, that he was ultimately defeated by a political cartoonist. A political cartoonist had a cartoonist from the UK had dubbed him Little Boney and made him very diminutive, and that kind of satire really rankled him and really got under his skin. And I'm watching those political cartoons as that intro is going on, thinking how much longer are we going to be able to see that kind of satire and that kind of very, very important commentary. And I don't know, Jim, you probably have some thoughts on that.
I mean, look, it was a hell of a few weeks to miss, and you know, there were very, very good reasons, but you know, I think since we've been here last, the country is very, very clearly going into autocratic dictatorship. The only question is, how will we, how to use the word, resist it better than resist, oppose it.
Yeah.
Part of the benefit for people like us who obsess about these things and who've been talking about these things for a long time, they told us like 6 different ways exactly what they were going to do, right? I
Absolutely.
mean,
Yeah.
Q told us, and Project 2025 told us, and the Heritage Guy told us, and they all told us, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Trump told us over and over on the campaign, here's all the dumb shit I'm going to do, right?
Yeah.
And they
Right.
put a guy like Pete Hegseth in.
Wow.
And, it was built to do this. It was built to shatter all of the stuff, all of the institutions and whatnot, and allow Donald Trump to simply operate the federal government as if it was an extension of himself, targeting whomever and whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And the last few days, I mean, I just wrote an article about how I had a panic attack yesterday.
I'm
And I am
sorry.
very, like, I'm a tree at this point. It's very
You're a
hard to get.
seasoned warrior.
But oh my God, a whole bunch of stuff all happened at once, including, by the way, and this is something we can talk about, Donald Trump literally made it a terrorist act,
Yeah.
not just to be associated with Antifa, which is
Yeah.
a meme, not a thing,
Right.
but be supportive of anti-fascists. Think about that. The government literally, so the Joint Terrorism Center, JTF, run by a neo-Nazi named Joe Kent, now has the authority, and it's a fusion center of FBI, all the different intelligence agencies and law enforcement. It is a fusion center, and guess what runs it? The Palantirs run it.
Yeah.
And so this presidential memorandum says, right down, the JTTF may investigate, go after, prosecute people who are associated with anti-fascism, anti-fascists, because, as it says in the order, it's all a ruse, and they're just calling the federal government fascists because they're really communists and want to rip it down.
Right.
So we are at that point. And so, to be clear, hold on, we are at the Reichstag part. This is literally the Reichstag part. What Donald Trump is trying to do with these increasingly insane memorandums and executive orders is eliminate the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
After the Reichstag, Hitler got rid of the communists first. It's in the poem. First they came for the communists, then they came for the socialists. Literally eliminated the Communist Party, the KPD, then the Socialist Party. And how did it do it? It said that they were subversive, that they were associating with anti-fascists and communist. Like, it's the same script, right? And the question is going to be, well, are we going to stand for it? And the last thing, there is a meeting on Tuesday, I believe, with all flag officers, all global, in the same room. Pete Hegseth, drunk, rapist, crusader, lunatic, has called the entire brain trust of our armed forces to one location, one convenient fucking location, so that he can lecture them. I shit you not, this just came out, on warrior ethos. He's going to, explain to 4-star generals who have been at war, as opposed to the couch on fucking Fox, how they should live up to the warrior ethos of the new Secretary of War. And how the military, both in and outside of that echelon, retired military, everybody all the way down to rank and file reacts to whatever that's going to be. And what it's going to be is a loyalty test. In 1935, Hitler, guess what? Invited all of the generals to come in. And you know what he did? What they said, you no longer swear an oath to the Weimar Constitution, you swear it to Hitler. 1935. So he's probably not going to be like, okay, now you're going to change your oath to Donald Trump. But what he's going to do is something very similar, which is it's warrior ethos, which includes going after people in America, which includes using military force in America to protect the homeland from Americans. So anyway, that we are at a very, very serious tipping point in terms of the overall progression, and how the country is going to react to this, I don't know. We seem to be very slowly coming to the realization that all this shit is mostly illusion. That if people just don't do what they say all the time, don't capitulate over everything, don't just like, oh my God, it's illegal to be Antifa now, so I'm going to change my profile name, or I'm whatever. Little stuff like that, where people are just like, oh my God, I've got to change my life for this. No, you don't. Exercise your right. If everybody in the country exercised their rights all at the same time, we'd be in a pretty good place, because there's fuck ton more of us than them. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
First TED Talk. I want to jump in, but how you go?
Jim, it's okay, because I heard that Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are writing a strongly worded letter. We should be fine, right?
Ken Martin is going to make a hit on MSNBC to tell us about his post-mortem that he's almost got back from the consultants, and he's gonna delve into it and tell us what we're gonna do. It's fucking what the hell, man.
Okay, all right. So that was the joke.
There are some bright notes. There are some bright notes. It's not all downtime. There are some bright notes. Go ahead, you go.
Well, okay. So I just want to make this point. Announcing to the fucking world that you're getting every commanding officer together in one goddamn room. Like, if there was ever a target, holy shit.
It's insane.
Anyway.
It's insane.
But it's not just for the security, right? I've seen people, and I get a little mad at that line, because yes, it's bad, but they probably will figure out how to make sure that it doesn't get nuked or whatever. Right? I don't think that that's actually the main concern. The main concern is this brainwashed, like crazy sadistic psychopath lunatic Pete Hegseth is going to have every single flag officer in the United States military in a single room to decide, apparently, who is going to stay and who's going to go. Because guess what? Guess what happened 3 days ago? Mike Flynn wrote a strongly worded tweet that said what the military needs to do is get all these woke generals who won't invade Chicago, who won't invade American cities. There was an article about that, and Mike Flynn went, oh my God, there's so many woke generals, we got to get rid of them. 2 days later, this dude calls in the entire military to one location.
Can you imagine all those high-ranking military officers serving with honor, having this be their careers, having to get in a room with a weekend anchor, literally a weekend anchor, taking their instructions from a radicalized weekend anchor. It
Who,
just, I,
who's,
again, when I talk about reality TV fascism, this is what I'm talking about. And Timothy Snyder keeps writing to media saying, stop showing the photo, stop showing the photo op, stop making them look strong. All these media experts are like, stop having headlines where another win for Trump, Trump's winning, another win for Trump. How about another loss for democracy? How about another, criminal violation against our citizens? How about that? And it's just really the point I wanted to make before we go on is that while we've been on hiatus from Radpod and Not So Chill, we've been doing really great interviews. And we had an amazing interview with Peter Pomerantsev. It's almost an hour. He wrote a couple of my Bibles, Nothing is True, Everything is Possible, and This is Not Propaganda. And he said our big problem is that there are millions of people not particularly in truth. And one of the things this show has done for a very long time is show, as Jim always says, that brainwash themselves, and how conspiracy and conspiracy thinking is always sort of lays the groundwork for authoritarian capture. And so I'm doing a lot of work and research on that particular topic right now. But if you have people not interested in truth, that is a huge problem, because then conspiracy is on the same level as science and fact-based, narrative reality. And I bring that up because Pomerantsev said to Hi-Fi and I that we would have had every ability to fight the information war in America. We had the talent, we had the technology, we had all the tools. We know how this stuff works, but it didn't turn an instant profit, so no one did it. Like literally, no one did it. So there you go.
well,
And it's like,
it,
I
it
know,
was it was also a target of people who wanted there to be
yeah,
interference from foreign
yeah,
governments.
yes, of
Let's be
course. So
right. We had
two things can be true at once.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, what happened as soon as they got in there? They started just chopping like the jewels of our national security apparatus that protect us from
Right.
literally from Russian interference, Chinese interference. Um, one of the things that the Pete Hegseth has been promoting and will certainly be talking about on Tuesday is this idea that we don't give a shit about Russia and China anymore. We don't give a shit about Europe anymore. America is a Western hemisphere where the new sort of, and it's not new. I've been talking about this for a year. They want to take over North America and eventually South America as well. They
Yeah.
want the Western hemisphere to be ours. That is one. That is the American pole. We're a pole in the multipolar world. And then China and Europe and Putin, they can fight it out. Who gives a shit? All we care is about is our over here, which is why we've got these fucking yahoos in the Caribbean shooting fishing boats,
Right.
right? Why
Right.
why are we doing that? Why are we threatening? Why did we shoot a boat off of the Dominican Republic? Why do we?
Why are we murdering people?
Why are we starting? Yeah, I mean it's just straight up war crime. Straight up war
Yeah.
crime. These were not drug boats. A drug boat doesn't have
Yeah.
11 fucking people in it. Guess
Right.
why? Because a person is like 150 pounds of drugs. Like that's
Right.
fucking crazy. You just don't. And anyway, so it is a reversal in a way of the Monroe Doctrine. If people aren't aware, 1823, James Monroe announced the Monroe Doctrine, which basically said to the colonizers in Europe, don't fuck with our either of our north or south. Just don't try it. It wasn't about we're going to colonize it. It was about it's in our interest to not have you colonizing our neighbors, and so don't do that. And it was a powerful statement, and made a lot of sense strategically. But what Pete Hegseth and these guys are literally doing is going like, okay, well, let's do this Monroe Doctrine thing, but we're just going to invade all these countries and take shit all over and control it ourselves, right? It's all part of this same PayPal mafia mindset where they're the masters of the universe and they're going to change the world around to create this, kind of giant Borg thing that they want to build. And, fuck that. Good Lord.
It's also very history of Rome.
It's where it is. It really is.
It's just like there's a new leader. It's like, who are we going to invade now? Now we got to show that we can invade somebody. It's like so predictable.
Or I said I want Comey to be indicted. I don't care how.
Yeah.
Right. And what did they have to do? They had to put the third runner-up in the Miss Colorado contest.
Yeah.
In there who's never tried a case in her fucking life. Literally to prosecute the former director of the FBI, Lindsay Halligan. You are a candid camera girl, because this shit is not going to go well. She she managed to convince 14 out of 23 grand jurors that this was a ham sandwich. Right? There's a ham sandwich. You're supposed to indict it, and so they did. But it's insane on its face. But what it is
scary stuff.
It's the intentional transgression, and I've been yelling about this for years. I'm going to do it one more time. Norms.
Yeah.
Remember all this shit about norms?
I was thinking about the very first time I interviewed. Like, you were literally like, this is before I even did the first Q&A when we met for the first time, and you're like, they've got to take off the white wigs, and they've got to literally get down there and start wrestling, because norms will not save us. And that is exactly what we've seen. And it's so weird because, again, we had every ability to fight it, but no will and no instant profit. And you know what? How short-sighted, because those who felt like, oh, they're not going to, make any money initially, by concerning themselves with getting people back and redirected toward truth and media, are going to really not like it when their, platforms and media operations become nationalized, because that's where this is heading. The first story I wrote after the election, using a phrase from Jim, welcome to West Russia, when the oligarchs ran the politicians and things were violent and cruel. Well, I think we're seeing so much of that playbook. And yes, high fidelity.
When the oligarchs ran the politicians is a really good way to introduce a clip.
Okay, but before you introduce the clip, let me say who we're talking about. We had the blessing of interviewing the commander of the Georgian National Legion in Ukraine. They have been there since 2014. The commander himself, Mamuka, he has been fighting Russians since he was 14, along with his father, a general in the Georgian army. Both were captured. So he actually was in a Russian prison at the age of 14, and he has not stopped fighting against the Russian aggressors his entire life. He's now 47. When he formed the Georgian National Legion, when it was still just sort of a kernel of an idea, and they just started fundraising, a full court disinformation campaign was waged against them right at the very beginning, on Twitter, on Telegram. They found out who these people are, lots of Americans involved, people in the UK. It's really fascinating, the parallels, Jim, and we talked about it. But the bottom line is that they've been doing some amazing, amazing work in Russia. And Mamuka has had many, many threats on his life. The last one was intercepted by the Ukrainian version of the CIA, and he is a true heart if there ever is one. And let's see a clip.
One of the weapons that no one ever talks about that Russia uses is billionaires. And I think this is important. I mean, in Ukraine, we had Medvedchuk. In Germany, we had Marsalik. There was another one up in Moldova that they just threw out. In Georgia, they
That
have
was
Ivan.
Elon Shore. Elon Shore.
Yeah, Elon Shore they threw out of there. In Georgia, we have Ivanishvili. Can you tell me something about how that billionaire was used in Georgia to take over the government?
Okay, let's take it globally. Whatever we see now, it's a oligarchization of politics. In the United States, in Georgia, in Russia, it has always been, oligarchized, and many countries are not will not be an exception for that. Georgia was occupied by not pro-Russian. He has just a Georgian surname. He is a Russian oligarch that has a share of Gazprom, one of the largest Putin's companies, and he is a shareholder of Gazprom. So you can imagine that these guys, of course, working for Russia, had a mission to take over Georgian politics, and Russia investing huge money in Georgian government, to stay at a place.
So the reason this is really, really important, who just came out today that is in the Epstein files? Why, that would be Elon Musk and Peter Thiel. Two guys we've been talking about for, 5 years now.
I can't believe you didn't do it. Like what?
Here's the problem. Here's why I didn't do it.
Happening?
Hold on. So what happened was the web interface for the software got updated
blah, blah,
and it deleted all my stuff.
But
I'll figure out where it is and grab it.
Bringing up Peter Thiel and not
playing the clip is just like, I know.
On our return episode, it's just very disappointing.
But on
it's a
subject,
negative 10 out of 10
on
opportunity missed.
Subject, gentlemen, I just want to say that it's really weird watching media that has, been kind of where people turned to understand what's happening, on a mainstream level. It's very interesting, them all of a sudden discovering people that we have been talking about for years. Like all of a sudden they're discovering the Dark Enlightenment. All of a sudden they're discovering Curtis Yarvin. All of a sudden they're discovering, Tim
they're
Pool.
discovering Peter Thiel, right?
Yes, very much so.
Peter Thiel and the Antichrist.
Well, yes, I want to say that I want to take a little credit. I don't usually do it, but I called the Peter Thiel the Antichrist in 2021 first. I've been calling him the Antichrist for 5 fucking years before he came out with his 4-part. If you missed this, Peter Thiel, the closest living, if not the actual Antichrist, I don't believe in that shit, but if I did, he's the Antichrist, is doing a 4-part lecture series in San Francisco.
Yeah. Jim, I gotta say.
About the Antichrist. It's just about it, you see. It's not, he's not trying to make it happen or anything. It's just about, and it's just so comical to watch him troll the entire world with his plan. Like listen, I have watched all the Peter Thiel shit that there is to watch. Every one of his fucking speeches, all of his appearances, every fucking thing. This has been his plan forever. Who did they put in at CDC? Who did they put? Anybody know who they put in at CDC? Peter Thiel's bottom bitch. This guy that literally has been promoting Peter Thiel's craziest startups for the last 15 years, including seasteading, the whole bit. They got rid of a Trump appointee at CDC in order to put in this little weasel who says that it's okay to sell your fucking organs, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because Peter Thiel has been trying to drive us towards this dystopian bullshit forever. He has set up his entire universe in order to profit from our collapse into whatever end times bullshit that he's trying to collapse us into. He's listed out all of the apocalypses that he thinks the Antichrist is going to bring, and then goes about and tries to bring them one by one to the point that he has a uranium enrichment facility in America. Did you know that? Did you know he bought a uranium enrichment facility in America? You know who else did that? His father was a fucking Nazi who worked for the apartheid government, creating a nuclear program in the 70s. Thank you for coming that Peter
coming
Thiel
to TED
slurred.
Talk.
But holy shit, I just want to it is wild watching everybody try and catch up, because they see all of this coming down around us. But it's all been out there forever. I wrote an article, one thing called about Red Caesar, called Red Frankenstein.
Yeah.
It's about how this idea, this fantasy of a strongman dictator who would treat America like a startup and fix everything like FDR, except for not woke. That's the vision they've been pushing. Instead, they got fucking Frankenstein, who is now like ripping his own hair out, right? You know, because of the Epstein files and the rest of it. So anyway.
Yeah. Another thing.
I had more to say than I realized, and I'm going fast, and I apologize.
No, it's great. It's great. The hour is going to go by so fast. We're already halfway through. I did want to say, please, when we do these interviews, we're not funded by Russian oligarchs. We don't have the Department of Homeland Security retweeting us and promoting us like they do Benny Johnson, etc. We're just three people who think that this work is really, really important and that truth is worth fighting for. In fact, it's everything. Living in truth is everything. So please go back and look at our recent episodes, our Gareth Gore episode, our Peter Pomerantsev one, our Mamuka one, which just dropped yesterday. We have an incredible one with a poet who explains, how to live under fascism. It's just a really rich, rich archive. And Peter Pomerantsev, again, I bring him up because I learned so much in that hour. It was kind of like when we first interviewed Jason Stanley, you keep mining it, Marcy Shore, you're always mining it for all the incredible lessons, really incredible. And Peter said that it was always wrong to make this about lies. Lies are a fabric of life. Politicians have always lied. And he just said it's where we went wrong was not understanding that it's about the stories they tell. It's literally about the stories that they craft that lead to the othering, that then engage all the fear and the ignorance out there to make people no longer care about truth. Talked about that whole process, and I would love to hear if we have. I don't know how many clips you ultimately have from Peter, but I'd like to start seeing some of them. Let's start with the first one. This may go a little bit long. I don't care. I want people to see.
Right now in America, there's sort of, just to give a small example, there's this sort of focus on how the latest violent extremism movements are really nihilistic rather than sort of left or right. And that so echoes what I saw in Russia already over 10 years ago. And there's obvious relevances to what's going on in Washington as well and across the world. But it's so interesting. I was sort of describing this kind of nihilistic violence that I saw in Russia as really a product of the end of history in many ways, in the first decade of the 20th century. And now the same phenomena are prevalent here. So yeah, in some really kind of weird, warped way, Russia, by losing the Cold War, became a prophet of the future, because now we're all losers. The politics of resentment.
Word.
Politics
That,
of resentment. Wow, that sounds familiar.
and by the way, there was a typo in his Chiron. There's a T. It's Pomerantsev with a T. I just wanted to make sure that was his Chiron. We didn't do it. He put it in there. We'll have to figure out a
Hey,
way to correct
even great writers need copy editors. Anyway.
exactly. Why don't we just see a second clip from him? Oh, before we do, for those of you who don't know who he is and his work, his parents were Soviet dissidents and they had to leave Russia, and he was raised in the UK and wrote, like, This Is Not Propaganda, incredible book that talks not only his experience working in reality TV in Moscow in the 2000s, which was really amazing. That's when he saw the rise of this political theater craft, the rise of the Surkovs of the world, and he was like, "You guys, this is coming to the West. Like, you have to pay attention." But at one point, he asked somebody who worked in television in Russia. He's like, where would the dissidents of the day, like, where would today's dissidents fit in? And they like rolled their eyes, like, really, you're going to be a dissident? Like, when I hear them, the Trump regime, talk about anti-fascism, I think about how much they're denigrating everybody in World War II who fought against fascism and who basically saved the world from Germany and Italy's intentions at that time. And now I think about how, if nobody cares about truth, then where is there room for a dissident? And right now they're trying very hard to make sure there are fewer and fewer, both in big ways that are very obvious by going after talk show hosts, etc. And now with this broad sweeping memorandum, trying to figure out a way to prepare everybody for, I think, mass arrest. So these are crazy, dangerous times. But again, we are informed by history. No two moments are alike, which is something Marcy Shore says. That's true, but there is a playbook that is being followed. And if that playbook is creating stories that then other people that then turn, fear, ignorance into a weapon. Well, we have seen that before. And if you look at the Department of Homeland Security's Twitter feed, it is literally, the playbook of the Nazi regime. We've seen it before. And for them to be offended when people call out their tactics is them then, just like the Stephen Millers, them then using what Jason Stanley calls upside down propaganda, where they take the reality of words, project them at their enemy, and try to neutralize and undermine the meaning of reality. And they're doing an excellent job. But this is a fight worth having. This fight for truth is everything right now.
Can I just, speaking of truths, I need to point something out. There's been a lot of discussion about people's politics in especially violent people. And what we're finding out is quite a few of these young white male shooters, left, right. I mean, they're radicalized nihilists. They're 4chan denizens. They're accelerationists. They just want the thing to fall. They don't really have. So, like, I don't know. Just a little truth for our viewers.
Really, wait a minute, Jim. Hold on, Jim, because I want to say Jim's got something that I think should be brought to our viewers' attention. Every single time the media straight quotes Kash Patel, they are straight quoting somebody who took money from Russia and foreign enemy states and is a QAnon super spreader, and they don't qualify any of his statements with, this man was essentially working as an unregistered foreign agent. Like, why do they not do that? Like, literally, they're straight quoting somebody who is incredibly, incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, that's why that gap between, this sort of resistance to calling this stuff what it is and still framing it as politics is the fundamental problem. But these guys are now taking all this shit to a different level, right? Like yesterday, Trump gave, which in my view was the most dangerous thing that Trump has ever said, which is saying something, including January 6th, because he said that all of these radical left domestic terrorists that, you know, are inciting violence against ICE officers because of this incident in Texas. That, you know, it'd be terrible if the other side got angry because they have a lot more guns, because it will be a very bad situation if they get angry, like literally threatening extremist right-wing violence against a fantasy version of left-wing violence. Again, Hi-Fi is exactly right. This guy was so he had logged something like 6,000 hours on one video game, a first-person shooter. 6,000 hours on one first-person shooter, and his favorite thing was rape jokes. He was one of these guys whose entire existence was trying to transgress everything. And every one of his friends, everybody said it's preposterous that he would put something like that there as an actual anti-ICE sentiment. What he would do is do that in order to create exactly the situation that the government walked us right into, that Donald Trump used, right? He gave Donald Trump and Kash Patel this tiny little nugget. He was like, fuck it, I'm going out. I'm tired of playing video games. I'm going to shoot up some ICE shit and put a bullet there that says think about how stupid it is that it says anti-ICE. Yeah, I made a meme like of John Wilkes Booth, his musket ball that says anti-Lincoln on it, right? He etched in anti-Lincoln because he wanted to make sure everybody knew what the fuck he meant. Like, what do you mean? Like, nobody does that. If it's gonna be some Antifa which doesn't exist, it's gonna say fuck ICE. It's not gonna say anti-ICE. The other theory of the case was that Kash Patel said, hey, make sure there's an anti-ICE message on there. And some dumbass Fed was like, okay, anti-ICE. But that's
well,
that's
there's
the
a
only,
fundamental problem.
Those are the only,
right.
But he put it out immediately.
Yeah.
I just briefly, how crazy it is. And yes, I have a special place in my heart for Kash Patel. He's the only law enforcement person of any kind that tweeted out evidence from a live crime scene that was being processed.
Yeah.
It was literally some agent took a picture with a phone and sent it to Kash, and he tweeted it out immediately. And you know why? So Ted Cruz and all the people who really, really wanted to blame this on the Antifers could get out there and in 24 hours blame it on the radical left, so Trump could then sign an executive order that says it's illegal for anybody to support anti-fascism.
Yeah, it's dangerous stuff.
And the most important point of this entire story, which seems to evade everyone, is that he didn't shoot any officers. He shot immigrants.
Right. But there's an explanation for that, which is just he shot into the entryway of the ICE facility and didn't give a shit who he shot. And there happened to be either way, the point stands. Like, he didn't care.
Yeah.
If it was an anti-ICE thing, that, as the shooter of Charlie Kirk proved, it's not. You can be very accurate from that range, and anyway, it's all just a clear psychological operation against the American people.
Right.
And push through this feckless media who was just like, well, it's anti-ICE, right? Run on the bullet. Watch me. And
40 years in broadcast news, interviewing FBI and trying to get comments where they can neither confirm nor deny, confirm nor deny. Literally no comment on anything active. And so the other thing is when you talk to reporters who have lived and worked in authoritarian countries, you can't trust anything that comes from a government like this. You can't trust and anchor says, or the weirdo who's in charge of health and human service, or the QAnon super spreaders, or the Russian unregistered foreign agents, you know, or Goose-Step Greta. That's my name for Christy Nome. I got that nickname because one of the Nazis, Hess, was nicknamed Black Greta because he was very dark and moody and depressed a lot. So anyway, you can't trust what these people say. These are, you know, they're either, you know, liars, compromised, blackmailed, you know, radicalized, whatever they are, they're not to be trusted. So we have a huge, huge problem with that. And that is why independent investigative reporters, OSINT, you know, investigators, we really, you know, rely on them now because we're not able to, we can't trust anything coming out of any of the messaging coming out of this insanely dangerous regime.
I just need to bring up a fact. We're talking about media consolidation. I don't think enough people are talking about this guy right here, Larry Ellison, right? He is, well, he's got Oracle. And let me just say, if you've got Oracle in your business, get rid of it. It is, Larry Ellison is tied to so many deceitful, awful things, including getting H.R. McMaster fired from Trump's National Security Council. There's a foreign influence group in Silicon Valley that his co-executive Safra Katz is part of. Larry Ellison is not good news. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, we can. Yeah, no, he's a MAGA oligarch. Let's be super clear.
Yeah.
He is a MAGA oligarch. Okay.
There you go.
Well,
Well,
so you guys will remember Elon Musk report where I quoted both of you 3 years ago, the very first one. I documented what happened in Hungary with media. I documented what happened in Russia with media. I documented what happened in the Philippines with media. And we are seeing that happening in America in this moment. So again, support independence because that is, you know, the bottom line is, you know, they have a tough time getting them fired from their jobs when they're actually
I
self-employed.
mean,
So,
the problem here, as a Georgian guest said, is the oligarchization of all of this shit, right? And what we didn't say there is that Larry Ellison is going to take over TikTok along with a bunch of other MAGAs. It's going to be Donald Trump clearly has dominion over this thing, right? They sold it for a song. They sold it for way less than it's worth for some reason to this specific group of billionaires that Donald Trump has blessed. So they've got years of our youth, our kids' preferences, years of it. Everybody's kid. Anybody have a kid or somebody who uses TikTok at all? The federal government and Larry Ellison, you know what Larry Ellison does? He's got a sort of worse in the corporate field. It's Palantir for companies. Fucking Palantir. It's all so.
And I just Larry Ellison.
Wait.
Yeah. Okay.
They're going to suck in all of this data, decade of it, with our kids, basically an imprint of their minds,
and bring it into this relational software that the guy's been working on for 35 fucking years, and we'll be able to basically profile anybody who has been on that platform. Now I'm done. Go ahead.
High fidelity.
I just want to point out a startling similarity. Larry Ellison, he owns his own islands. Larry Ellison is big in the yacht scene, and his yacht
I
has
mean,
been seen.
all billionaires have that shit. All billionaires are
Well,
in fucking
you know,
islands and shit.
all I can say is yachts are all crime scenes. That's a great Andrea Chalupa
That
line.
is one of the
So
prime
listen,
ways that they launder money. That is forgotten.
yeah. So one thing I would like to do is see Mamuka's next clip. And again, that's episode 149. This man has been at war for 32 years. When you talk to people who don't get confused by disinformation and information warfare, when you talk to them in Central and Eastern Europe and you ask why, they're like, well, you can look at my family, they were all killed by Russians, so you can't really mask that with disinformation. Like that's reality. So in any case, let's hear from Mamuka right now.
Is not secondary in this war. It is a central weapon in Russian arsenal. Before the tanks move, the lies are already in a place. So that's what Westerners need to know. These campaigns confuse people, divide allies, and weaken resistance. Without countering these informations, no military victory can be achieved. So that's the main part of Russian war. They are spending more money. They are investing more money in these information campaigns than in war itself. And we have to clearly understand that Russia pays more to those guys who work for their disinformation, online disinformation campaigns than buying tanks and producing weapons. That's how they get over countries like Slovakia, for example. Russian disinformation campaigns took the Slovakian society to choose pro-Russian power. The same what they did in Hungary, the same what they did in Georgia, the same what they are trying to do in Moldova right now, the same that they were trying to do even in the United States. So that's the biggest threat that exists now. Russia during centuries have been strengthening their disinformation campaigns. If today we have journalists like propagandists like Solovyov and others, we had poets, Russian poets like Pushkin and Lermontov who were spreading Russian disinformation back in 19th century. So it has a legacy of disinformation. And this country consists of disinformation. So that's what we have to fight against. And you can be very helpful in that. So as I told you yesterday, there was a huge disinformation campaign against the Georgian National Legion. And we have been targeted by coordinated pro-Russian networks on Twitter and on other networks also. There are not random trolls. It's a well-coordinated attack on object that is given by FSB or GRU. It's Russian intelligence that are coordinating those groups, and those groups are very well coordinated. They're very well paid, and that they do their job better than Americans, better than Ukrainians. Even Ukrainians are not enough vaccinated against those disinformation campaigns because, for example, in our case, one Ukrainian resource, media resource, joined the campaign against us. So it means that they were paid. They are also under investigation. It means that they were paid or they're working, and spreading Russian lies. So the first one is more possible. So I want you to understand that they're targeting generally big groups, large groups of pro-Ukrainian volunteers. And it's not only Georgian Legion. Georgian Legion is an example. And we did even special courses, lectures about these disinformation campaigns that our press officer is reading in different regions in Ukraine now. Some of those people are now in Ukraine, and they continue doing it. They continue coordinating Russian air raids, and we know that. And I don't want to say details of investigation, but
he actually gave me some of the details of the investigation. They know who some of these people are. Some of these people are in America. Some of these people are names that
most of them are.
Surprise.
It's fascinating. And you know what they did immediately when they went after Georgian National Legion right at the beginning? They went after the funding source. They went after the donations. They tried to
Golly, that sounds familiar.
I know, and that
Yeah,
actually really looking forward to getting some of their work on disinformation to help Ukrainians. I'm listening to that guy, and I'm so grateful that he's not only takes the time to be with us, but that he's speaking English to us. Like, it's just so incredible that we're able to communicate this really important knowledge across countries. He's Georgian, he's in Ukraine, we're in the States, our viewers are global, and I'm just very, very grateful. And I learned a lot from him.
I just wanted to back up something that you said about Russian disinformation not being some modern invention. I mentioned this before, but I'll do it again. Protocols of the Elders of Zion.
Yeah.
That a document that was responsible for my own grandparents, in large part, being ejected from Russia, Ukraine, Russia, to the United States 100 years ago. That was invented by Russian intelligence at the turn of the 20th century. Like 1901, 1902, 1903, they were kind of getting it together and got it out there. And it was a Russian disinformation document. And that document was used in the pogroms of my grandparents, and then was used by Henry Ford in the United States, and then was used by Hitler in Germany to justify the Holocaust, and it's been passed down ever since.
Yeah.
And when you look at something like QAnon, what is it? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
What did Donald Trump do yesterday? Promised to prosecute George Soros. Literally,
Right.
George. Now, why is that? Because he's Jewish, and because he represents this cabal of Jews that has been passed down since the Crusades as a something that you've got to watch out for. And the Russians have been perfecting that for centuries as well. So it's an important point that there's something about the culture, and I'm not saying that all Russian people are bad and that they all want to, but there's something about the government. Let me make more clear about the government that keep popping up in Russia that want to use information warfare in this extremely effective but also catastrophic way. And I think that's
Absolutely. Two quick things for me. One is that I'm doing a deep dive on the conspiracies of the Third Reich and the paranoid imagination. And even though Hitler's own associates knew that the protocols were fabricated, it still served their purpose. So it doesn't matter how many times it was debunked, it still served their purpose. So that again goes back to, they didn't care about truth, they cared about power. The other thing is that, again, going back to Peter Pomerantsev's interview, he talks about very much that culture, but more than anything, he talks about how in Putin's regime, there is so many high-ranking people that are at the top of these, narrative warfare departments, and they are like the head, basically right there working with Putin. And Western democracies don't have that. They aren't prioritizing. They only prioritize it during wartime. We prioritized dealing with propaganda in World War II. We could have fought it and we didn't. And that is why we are in this disastrous situation right now. Let's hear the last two clips from Peter before we go.
But I want to just offer this quote and just a last line from you. This comes from Nothing is True and Everything is Possible. With no idea of the future left, facts become unnecessary. They are, after all, unpleasant things, reminders of one's mortality and limitations. The process occurred in Russia harder and faster because cynicism and disillusionment set in earlier. Everything turned into a dark carnival more rapidly. The Russian president turned politics into a reality show, remaking authoritarianism with the logic of 21st century entertainment. I bring that quote up because A, it's brilliant, and B, I feel like we are living under the tyranny of some sort of reality TV fascism, and I don't like it. I want to unplug it. I worked in entertainment, you worked in entertainment. I just feel like there's just got to be a way where we can make facts sexy again. We have a person in control of health in America that's an anti-vaxxer conspiracy theorist. At some point, people get sick and they're going to be like, huh, maybe there was an alternative. How, I just,
Well, yeah.
any final thoughts?
No, but listen, I think there's no how this would work at a kind of structural level is not hard to imagine at all. Um, and I think people in America are full of great ideas about how you would remake the tech sector, how would you remake media. Um, so America is full of great ideas about this, whether it's creating social media platforms that further collaborative debate, which are ironically developed in the US, but actually implemented elsewhere, like in Taiwan, because the US has no system of then taking these good ideas and growing it. It has no public sector, civil society, doesn't seem to activate itself for these grand media projects. We know, there's lots of ideas how you would remake reality shows. Actually, you could start with entertainment. How do you create reality shows which foster collaborative behavior, that foster a different sense of community? We all know how to do this. This is not there's plenty of examples around the world how you would change the American primary debates so they would actually get politicians to think together and show how they find solutions. We know how to do this. The problem in America is not that nobody doesn't know the technology of how to do this. The problem in America is that none of this brings instant profit, and everything else does. So I am by no means an anti-capitalist, but usually in societies you have some space for things that are good for society. America has chosen to have nonstop cognitive civil war, but that's a choice that America has made, and it makes it every day. And I'm afraid it's made by MSNBC and CNN as well. They didn't bother doing something different. They just do a very bad version of a very unsuccessful version of what the right does. But that's a choice America has made. And one has to live with one's choices, I suppose. There's been many opportunities, and there will be many opportunities to do something else. So I really don't think this is about not knowing what to do. The solutions are all around us. They have been historically. But America, maybe this is because it's so successful, it can allow itself this. For Maybe because it's such a successful country, it can experiment with this. As somebody from Eastern Europe, obviously I'm very worried because this sort of playing about with constant dehumanizing of each other, this playing about with throwing facts out the window, this playing about with all these sort of authoritarian experiments haven't historically ended very well. So it is very, very worrying. But I don't know, I do a lot of polling in America, and everybody says about how they yearn for the return of truth, how they yearn for overcoming division, how they yearn for D-Day and the moon landing and building the Hoover Dam and all these great things that Americans did together. And that tells me that there is actually a demand in America for that. So if somebody were to say, look, I'm creating a social media company that is based on finding collaborative solutions. Yeah. Instead of riling hate against each other. Or I'm going to create a massive TV channel that's going to be all about not bringing two sides together. That's pathetic. That's nonsense, bringing sides together. It's not about that. It's about like, how do we do something together? Yeah. So how do we actually get things done together? It's going to be all about that. Yeah. I'm going to develop, entertainment shows that cultivate how we get stuff done together. So if somebody were to do that, the polling suggests that actually there is a huge market for it.
There's a huge market for it. Go figure.
Yeah. And you know what he said? He said, oh, all we need are a couple brave philanthropists, a couple brave people with money, maybe one brave billionaire who stands out. And that to me is like, and again, I apologize to our viewers. Those clips that we chose this week are long, but this stuff is really, really freaking important. And you cannot get it in a soundbite. This is stuff. So I wanted everybody to have a chance to think about that.
Yeah,
Jim.
a couple of things just to close for me. One, it sounds a little accelerationisty, but there is a way of looking at this as an opportunity, right? They are successfully tearing down a large percentage of the institutional fabric of the country, right? But it was an institutional fabric that allowed this to happen, right?
Yeah, right.
That put all of us at
Sure.
risk in this extremely fucked up way. That
Yeah.
should never happen again, right? And Peter is exactly right. I could design something tomorrow that would fix this
Yeah.
shit. Not that wouldn't persecute. It wouldn't be persecuting it. It just, you can design something if you have either a blank slate or something to work with. And they're taking
Right.
away all the stuff that we had to work with. So there is an opportunity. And so one of the things that we're going to have to come to grips with is it's going to get worse before it gets better. But it will
God,
get
I
better.
hate that.
But, right, what they want is control. The only way
Yeah.
that they can control us is fear. It's all fear, right? Because none of the individual things that they're doing, like canceling Jimmy Kimmel, is not canceling Jimmy Kimmel is like, it sucks. Every once in a while I see a clip I like of Jimmy Kimmel, but it's not going to affect my life.
Mm-hmm.
But it scared me, right? It was fear. And what they want is for your reaction to fear not to be to push back against it. They use fear as this traumatic device to get you in a loop. That's not unlike the loop of our cousins, the MAGAs, right? And and just briefly, and I'll close. There is a term, hypervigilance, and I wrote about this today, right before we came on. Yesterday, I had this like panic attack because I got 2 lawsuits, and I got all like the military is collapsing, and
Yeah, it's
fucking
real. Shit's real.
getting indicted. I'm just like, oh.
Yeah. Shit's real.
And
Yep.
that was the intent. That's the intended reaction, right? Because what are they doing? All this psychological warfare, governmental warfare, and legal warfare against me personally that could have a ruinous effect on me, right? This is all designed to freeze me up with fear. But there is a trick, and it's a simple thing. You can look it up from cognitive behavioral therapy. Name it. It's amazing if you just sit there and if you're like feeling very fearful, and I know many people are, and it's okay. If you're not afraid, you're dumb.
Right.
You're not paying fucking attention. This is crazy scary. And so what I'm just suggesting is, if you feel overwhelmed by it, name it. Don't just be like, don't focus on the things that you're afraid of. Focus on the fact that you're feeling fear and name it. And you know why? There's a simple reason. Because that fear short circuits the front of your brain. This part stops working, and the back part, the amygdala, takes over. And it's an amazing little thing, but it's very stupid. And it makes decisions very quick. Fight, freeze, or flee, right? And so my reaction was to freeze. I was pretty inoperable for about an hour, but I was talking myself through it. I was just thinking about, okay, here's what this is. Here's why I'm feeling it. Here are the systems that caused it. And what that does is separates the emotion from the thing. So you can, if you think about your fear, it's not an overwhelming emotion. It's a concept that you can identify. It makes it finite. And as a final point, this whole thing is finite. It's gonna feel shitty for a long time. We got a long way to go, but it is finite. There will be another side to it, and just remember that as we, go through this shit show together.
Thank you so much for that, Jim. I'm sorry that you went through that. I know when I'm out of alignment, I got to breathe and meditate. Personally,
it's not about
that's
people
what I
feeling
do.
sorry for me, but I feel like it.
No, I know. As your friend, it's hard. As somebody who suffered from anxiety my whole freaking life,
fine.
Anyway.
Speaking of which,
good. Jim,
speaking of which, if you're out there in the audience and you give a shit about this, stopmikeflynn.com is where you can donate to Jim's legal fundraiser to help pay his attorneys to shove these dickheads back in their hole. Anyway.
Thank you for your eloquence, High Fidelity. My final statement is beware the martyr. I got up very early a week or so ago. My pinned tweet at Betty Dangerous, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Betty Dangerous is the Nazi martyr Horst Wessel. So I encourage you guys to read that, learn from history. The very first comment I got on that came from my friend Marcy Shore, who's an intellectual historian, and she said, "That's right, girl." She's like, "That's right. This is a Horst Wessel moment," and that's all I'm going to say about that. High five. Final thought. Final word. Final quote.
I think the most important thing we need to roll back through is oligarchization, because that's really important. And for everyone in the chat, I just want to say,
oh, hi, thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
Because I had to.
And well done, High Fidelity. And for everybody in the chat, thank you so much for being with us and supporting us. You guys are just so freaking awesome. Appreciate you. And just lots of love.
I want to go out on something positive. This is a guy named Lyle Strickland. And I don't know. I just like his message.
truck's been a gathering dust. Buddies all ask me when I'll fix her up. She's doing just fine, my Chevy Shrine. Cracks in that windshield, cracks in my life. Rough couple of years, hell, it ain't even right, but I'm still alive. She drives alright. Yeah, nobody wants to go slow now. Nobody wants to be last. Everybody wants a trophy wall, and I just wanna kick back. I'm in between the lines most of the time. Every now and then I take a rumble and drive back home, or back to monochrome. I don't know what went wrong around here. All of a sudden I was grinding gears, and I'm still here. Buyer beware. Yeah, nobody wants to go slow now. Nobody wants to be last. Everybody wants a trophy wall, and I just wanna kick back. I just wanna kick. It's been some time since I heard our song. Sometimes I wonder how she's getting along. I lost signals there. AM over the air. Found me a girl just as rough as me. She didn't mind if the title was clean, and the pastor agreed, and I gave her a warranty. We just don't wanna go slow now, it's going by so fast. We just don't wanna enjoy ourselves, and we just don't wanna kick back. And we just don't wanna kick back. Gonna keep on driving from dusk till dawn, till that dimmer switch finally flickers on, and those bright, bright lights are waiting for me to sing my songs. Yeah, I just don't wanna go slow now, it's going by so fast. I just wanna enjoy myself, and I just wanna kick back. Hell, I just